Hey world, my partner and I have been really damaged by the dental industry and we think we can do better. So follow along to learn about our innovations which we think can change the course of dentistry. So let me take you way back. Humans have had issues with their teeth since the dawn of time, particularly since they started eating things like sugar and grains, which cause a lot of cavities. And since they've had issues with their teeth, they've also been trying to restore them and repair them with different methods. So there's a lot of evidence for this across different cultures, across time, from the ancient Egyptians to the Mayans to the Etruscans and Romans in Italy to the ancient Chinese and Indians, all across the world. People have been doing dentistry for a long time. Different methods that they would utilize include using gold bands or wires to secure loose or replacement teeth into place. They would fill cavities with materials such as resins or metals or different mineral combinations or gemstones. They would replace missing teeth with different stones, gems again, or animal or human bone carved into shape, or ivory. They would also use things like seashells. There's evidence of a lot of different techniques to maintain dental health too, such as chewing on medicinal twigs, making herbal toothpastes and mouthwashes, and there have been different tools recovered. There are some limitations to these techniques, but there are also some really genius solutions that came out of this. So there's a lot to learn of both what worked and what didn't from these cultures. And modern dentistry has gone in a totally different direction. Since the Industrial Revolution, they started to use more mass-produced materials because of the advent of widely available and cheap oil and metals mined from the earth. So this is kind of where things really went downhill, in my opinion, because dentistry started utilizing way more toxic materials. Today, modern dentistry uses things like amalgam, composite, zirconia, titanium, and dental cements, and I will go through each of these individually. So I'm going to start with amalgam, because this is the worst of the worst. This has actually been around since ancient China, before the Common Era. Thousands of years we've had amalgam. And amalgam is a combination of different metals. It's an alloy. And the Chinese were using a mixture of mercury, tin, and silver. And today they're using different heavy metals like indium and palladium and copper to augment the amalgam and give it different properties. But amalgam has always primarily been composed of mercury, and this is the main issue with amalgam. Mercury is a liquid at room temperature. You might have seen it in thermometers or just loose. It can kind of roll around on a plate because it's a liquid. And amalgam is put into hundreds of millions of people. But what most of these people don't know is that mercury vaporizes at room temperature. And this is a real problem because when it's in someone's mouth, even mixed with these other metals, it turns into a gas. It off-gasses and it gets inhaled and it gets worn down by eating and drinking. So it gets absorbed into people's systems through their bloodstream, through their digestive system, and it permeates the whole body. It can affect practically every system in the body, particularly the respiratory system, digestive system, endocrine system, nervous system, and yeah, nothing is really spared by mercury. There's no known medicinal benefits to mercury, just harm. And amalgam just, I think, was used at first because they realized it was killing off microbes, but what they didn't realize is it's also killing off the humans that they put it inside. So that's very prevalent in modern dentistry still, and it's the cause of a lot of chronic disease. So things like ALS, Parkinson's, dementia, fibromyalgia, depression, anxiety, these are all largely attributed to heavy metal toxicity, and mercury is a main culprit. So composite is another thing that they use. Composite is a fancy word for plastic, or a mixture of different plastics and petrochemicals that they'll use. A lot of composite has BPA in it. BPA is an endocrine disruptor. It affects our hormones, and particularly estrogen. So a lot of people know that plastic is not good to consume. You would not just eat a piece of plastic, but it's being put in people's mouths, and that's essentially what's happening. It also wears down in the mouth and gets absorbed. So microplastics are found in practically everybody today in their bloodstream, and composite is not helping this problem. Dental cements are required for a lot of dental restorations, and I've looked at every type of dental cement that's used in the industry that's available, and they're all toxic. They all have at least one really unhealthy ingredient in them. Fluoride is one of those, and fluoride affects our pineal gland and other parts of our brain, and it just isn't helping anything. Fluoride has also been proven to deteriorate the enamel, but they're using fluoride treatments in dentistry to supposedly preserve our enamel. So something's definitely backwards. Zirconia is also used, and this is marketed by biological dentists as some miracle material, some bioinert, biocompatible material, and that's just not the case. And what zirconia is it's a combination of a few different metals. It's not just pure zirconia, it's also yttria. And zirconia and yttria would be theoretically non-toxic on their own, but they have to use aluminum to form it into the ceramic through a process called sintering, which is just firing it in a high temperature kiln. They add trace amounts of aluminum, and aluminum is up there with mercury in terms of toxicity. So it only takes a little amount to cause serious issues. And zirconia is used for things like fillings and implants in modern dentistry. Titanium has also been used for a while, and titanium, they also say it's bioinert and biocompatible, and that's just not true once again. It's because titanium is a toxic metal. It's another toxic heavy metal. And it's been proven that in about half of people who get dental implants with titanium, they have inflammatory reactions to it. Titanium is also used for a lot of other types of implants. So these are the materials that dentists are working with in the modern age, and none of them are healthy. So this is a serious problem, but this isn't all. So the practices which dentists use today are very invasive and degenerative, destructive. Drilling is a prime example. So cavities alone, they are clearly an issue, but they wouldn't be as big of an issue without the reactions of the dentists. So a lot of cavities, especially when they're caught early, but even at advanced stages, they can be treated with herbs and different resins or essential oils that can help to prevent cavity growth and kill off microbes. But dentists are really afraid of microbes. For some reason, they don't use herbs as a first resort, and they think they have to drill out all of the infected tissue. And this just causes bigger holes in people's teeth. And the main issue with this is when they drill into a tooth, they tend to take away the center of the tooth, which is the part that actually has the stem cells, which help our teeth to regenerate, build new enamel and dentin. And dentists don't even acknowledge that tooth regeneration is possible at all, but it's very possible with the right help. And once a tooth is drilled out, it's just a lot more vulnerable to infection, and it creates a dependency and a reliance on dentists. So root canals are another practice that are pretty common in dentistry when someone has a really bad issue with a tooth, but the dentist thinks it can be saved. And some dentists will claim that they have healthier options to root canals. Some root canals are really, really toxic. Actually, all of them are. It's just varying degrees of toxicity. They might say that they use a bioplastic material, but when you look into it, they have to use dental cements and metals nonetheless in this process. So root canals can be very destructive for people. They can get infected and cause worse issues in the jaw. Implants are another technique that dentists will use. They will stick either titanium or zirconia into the jaw, as I described earlier. And that requires more drilling. So practically what dentists are doing is treating people like there's some construction material, like they're a piece of drywall. They drill a pilot hole into the jaw first, and then they literally take a metal screw and screw it into that pilot hole. And this is kind of absurd to me because it just causes more damage and more bone loss and more reliance on dentists. And there's no healthy implants that are available. So my fiance actually talked to a dentist in India, a biological dentist, and he said, no, I don't put implants in people. They're so toxic. So that's one of the few dentists that we've encountered who actually has some integrity, but he doesn't have any solutions for people who need help with missing teeth. Hence this channel. More dental interventions that are used are things like dentures and flippers, and these are made of the same toxic materials. Denture paste can contain mercury, and on top of this, they're doing CT scans to figure out what's going on inside people's jaws, and CT scans give people about 2.5 to 3 years worth of their natural background ionizing radiation, and it's all concentrated onto the mouth, which is right next to the brain. So I hope it's clear why this is a problem. CT scans are an alternative, and these are closer to X-rays. which are much, much lower in radiation and for most purposes are sufficient. Also, the prices are ridiculous. They're causing all of this harm, and to add insult to injury, they're robbing people blind. People without insurance are particularly affected. And they do things like wisdom teeth extractions, which in most cases are completely unnecessary. Practices like mewing, if they were just taught to children, then the teeth would grow in the right direction and there wouldn't be any issues with dental crowding or anything like that. Even without mewing, a lot of times the wisdom teeth will appear to be growing toward the other back molars, but in reality, they're going to change direction and shift upward in their growth if they're just allowed the time to do so. So it's debatable whether this dependency and this harm that's created is on purpose or not. I feel like a lot of dentists are very ignorant of the issues, and they may have good intentions. They may think they're helping people because of their programming in school, all of the propaganda that's disseminated through the very expensive university systems and all the misinformation that's propagated. So that's benefit of the doubt. But then I do think particularly a lot of the manufacturers of dental materials, dentistry materials are very privy to what they're doing, what they're using, and they just don't care because they're making billions of dollars. So this system just doesn't really work for anyone, and a lot of people in their later years will find themselves in a position where they have to get all of their teeth pulled or get tons of different painful procedures which require also toxic numbing agents or anesthesia, which have serious risks. So this brings me to my story and my partner's story with the dental industry. We both had cavities from a very young age because of how we ate, how we were fed. And we were never given any herbs to help treat this, only mass-produced toothpaste, toothbrushes, made out of plastic, by the way, and regular visits to dentists, where we both had lots of drilling, and we both received fillings. I received composite fillings and surfaces, about 7 of them, and my fiance had 4 different teeth with amalgam put in them. This really affected both of us. Amalgam is particularly harmful, as I said, but the composite affected me as well. And my fiance also had a tooth pulled, well, many teeth pulled. She had all of her wisdom teeth removed in her early years and 1 additional tooth, and I had all my wisdom teeth removed. And when we learned about all of this stuff, we really wanted a solution for ourselves. And we wanted this stuff out of our mouths once we learned the issues it was causing. So we found a dentist in Germany, and he really saved us. He took our fillings out without replacing them. And we had to travel across an entire ocean to do this, because in the US, oh, people can lose their license for doing that. They say it's against their Hippocratic oath to do no harm, which is completely backwards in my opinion. But luckily we were able to find a dentist who did it for us. And that sent us on a journey of trying to reclaim our dental health. And so we started using things like resins, herbal toothpastes that we made ourselves, herbal mouthwashes, getting a BPA-free water flosser, getting bioplastic floss, and other practices using essential oils and a lot of different things to prevent infection and prevent cavities from getting worse. And we would use resins particularly to fill the holes that we had in our teeth. And this helped to some extent. It reduced the sensitivity that we had because of our exposed nerves. But we still have issues to this day. My fiance, because she had amalgam and her teeth were very inundated by the vapors of mercury, and because there was such heavy drilling in her teeth, she had to have 2 more teeth removed, 2 more molars, and now she's looking at potentially having another tooth removed in the near future if it can't be saved. So it really feels like our health was deeply affected by all of this, and a large part of our childhood was robbed from us because of the effects of this. Caused a lot of mental health issues, hormonal issues, and different chronic conditions that were just treated with pharmaceuticals, pills, and Western medical interventions that didn't really get to the root. So we're still dealing with the ramifications of what the dentist did to us. And we tried going to a different biological dentist, and we received temporary or semi-permanent zinc clay and eugenol fillings. This is a more natural solution. Zinc is pretty non-toxic, and so is eugenol or clove oil. It forms a kind of hard mineral filling that wears off and erodes in a few months. So that, again, created a dependency on dentists, and it didn't really help the sensitivity that we had with our teeth for the most part. I think to go back to, the root cause, I think mineral deficiency is a huge issue for a lot of children raised on Western diets, not getting enough calcium and phosphorus in their diets, which are the primary minerals that make up our teeth. And this on top of constant stream of different sugars just makes for the perfect storm for teeth to erode. And our diets have completely changed now, and so have our dental care habits. Both of us can practically only chew on one side of our mouth now, our mouths, because my fiance is missing a lot of teeth on one side, and I have such bad sensitivity on one of my teeth. So this is a lot of doom and gloom, but I created this channel and this video because I've been exploring alternatives for a long time. I've been doing heavy research and trying to figure out what could possibly change this for people. What could give people their life back? What could give them their smile back? What could give them their health back? What could be a non-toxic dental restoration material, and how can it be put in the mouth? How can it be secured so that it's a permanent solution for people that does not hurt them? And the conclusion that I arrived to is a very wonderful gemstone called nephrite. And nephrite is a type of jade. And jade is actually one of the types of stones that the Mayans would use and still do today. The descendants of the Mayans in Guatemala still carry on this tradition of using jade to inlay or fill teeth. And there's a lot of different reasons why I think this is a perfect material for this purpose. To start with, it's composed of very basic elements low on the periodic table. It has no toxic metals or any toxic elements in its chemical formula. It's a very pure crystal. It's composed of things like carbon, oxygen, silicone, nitrogen. And nephrite is one of the few stones, gems in particular, that will not fracture. It's very, very resistant to cleaving. So if it were used for something like an implant, then it wouldn't have the same risk of breaking over time that even zirconia does. Zirconia, it's only been around for a little over a decade. There's really no long-term studies on it, but they're using it far and wide. And I think people are going to be running into a lot of issues when they have to have their zirconia implants and fillings replaced in a decade or two. But nephrite, I think it could be a one and done solution. I think it could go in someone's mouth and they could die with it in their mouth. Nephrite has some really incredible qualities to it. First of all, it's widely available. It's a very common gemstone. It's very inexpensive, and it can be shaped with a diamond burr. And this is, I think, the best way to craft it into a dental restorative material, because sometimes they'll use lasers to shape things like implants or fillings or flippers for people, but when it comes to nephrite, using a laser could actually compromise its integrity, whereas using a diamond burr, doing it by hand, like a professional gem cutter would, will not reduce its integrity. So it can be custom tailored to someone's mouth, maybe with the help of a CBCT scan, but this might not even be necessary. Just with physical measurements could be done, maybe using some CAD program, or just different engineering techniques. I think it could be done. And nephrite comes from the Latin lapis nephriticus, or maybe it's Greek. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it's Greek. This means stone of the kidneys. That's where it got its name, because I think the ancient Greeks would use it in different potions. They would powderize nephrite and actually consume it. They would use it for disorders of the stomach or the eyes or the kidneys. And it was also used for snake bites, so it actually has some some purifying qualities to it. And the ancient Mayans would hold it against their sides. There's accounts of them using it for its spiritual properties to heal the lower organs, such as the kidneys. So it has a long association with being good for the kidneys, which happens to be the organ which is one of the organs which is really strongly affected by things like amalgam. So it seems like a fitting material. And I think one of the beautiful things about this solution is that it can be shaped into a one-piece restorative material. So with things like modern implants, there are always at least two pieces. There's a crown and then there's the implant body, the screw. And sometimes there are three pieces, or I don't know, maybe more. And this creates weak points and points of failure. So nephrite could be an elegant one-piece solution. I think it can be used for any dental restoration: fillings, inlays, flippers, full or partial dentures, implants, really anything. It's just a feat of engineering. And there's one caveat when it comes to things like inlays or fillings. Then I believe a sort of dental cement would still be required to hold the jade into place. But I have also a theoretical solution for this that's non-toxic, and I think the solution is a mineral-based dental cement, which is composed of non-toxic minerals and no biological materials. So I'm not sure if this will work, but my theory is combining hand mine limestone, which is fired and then hydrated. So hydrated lime, pure hydrated lime, mixed with hydroxyapatite, which is arguably a biological material. It does come from animal bone, but it can be purified. It can be put through a kiln and have all the foreign proteins burned off to basically reduce it to a purely mineral substance. Rice husk ash I think is another ingredient in this non-toxic dental cement because of its high silicone content and alkalinity. And then pretty sure the final ingredient would need to be wollastonite, which is another mineral, another non-toxic mineral, which has a sort of hair-like crystal structure, very thin filamentous structure, which would provide a sort of rigidity and solidity to this whole cement to make it very durable. I'm pretty sure all of these ingredients combined in the right proportions could create this dental cement. And this just has never been tried. So I'd like to experiment with it. Our teeth are crystals. A lot of people don't know this, but our bones and our teeth are very complex biological crystals. So I think it's just fitting that the solution to our crystals, our mouth crystals being damaged, would be to introduce another crystal. I'm going to need a team for this. That's the main reason I'm making this video and this channel. I'm looking for support in this. I would really like to connect with engineers, gem cutters, people who can interpret CT scans potentially, and really anyone passionate about what I'm talking about. It's kind of absurd to me that the dental industry has billions and billions of dollars, and it's clear that they're not putting it into finding non-toxic solutions for people. They're just spending more money finding ways to make their toxic materials, I don't know, more available to people and easier to put in their mouths, to make them less noticeable that they're toxic, that sort of thing. So, as someone who's not a licensed professional, someone who's just doing this because they're passionate about it, I find it really insane that I can come up with viable solutions, and I'm not even an expert. I'm just an amateur researcher, and I think with a team of dedicated people, we could really do this. I would also like to find and collaborate with someone who knows something about patents, maybe a patent clerk or a lawyer, because I'd like to create a defensive publication for this once we've developed it. I don't want this being corrupted and co-opted by the dental industry. I don't want someone else to be able to patent it. I don't want to patent it. I don't want to make money off of this. I want this first and foremost so my fiance and I can have our lives back and our health back. But beyond that, I would love, if it works, for it to be available and accessible to everyone on Earth and not cost them an arm and a leg. So if I can create a defensive publication of prior art, that will prevent anyone from profiting on this, at least restricting access to this for people. You know, like, I'm not interested really, like, in putting dentists out of work, even though it's like my clickbait title. I would love for dentists to just adopt this and start creating this for people. People can make a living off of doing this. This could be people's job, to be crafting jade for people and putting in their mouths, the nephrite. And if dentists were doing what they are supposed to do, which is helping people get their dental health back, then the world would be such a better place. Like, we need people who can specialize in creating and installing these implants or fillings or whatever it may be. And who better to do that than dentists and dental engineers? So it's not that I don't want people to be able to make a living off of helping people with repairing their teeth. I just want it to be done in a non-toxic way that doesn't create a really, like, violent world. I think a lot of the societal issues we're facing and, like, the chronic health issues that we see in society, a lot of them could be avoided with just proper dentistry. So I do see this as, like, a very transformative technology, and I don't want to see anyone need it and not be able to get it. So this is a time-sensitive thing. I would like to have it completed by September of 2026 this year, because my fiance has a lot of missing teeth, and specifically the solution she needs is flippers right now, but also probably fillings and or inlays, and I need also fillings and inlays. So these are the two solutions that I would like to start with innovating and creating and making prototypes for, based on my fiance's specific parameters to start with, and she's going to be the first guinea pig. If it works on her, then I'll be putting it in myself, because my fillings are a little bit less urgent than hers, but her jaw will start to recede, or her other teeth could start to go out of place if she doesn't have this soon, within a few months. So it's really urgent. I'm fully dedicated. My full focus is on this project right now, and I would like to collaborate with people digitally around the world who would also like to see this happen. So a lot of times I think health is really about removing the root cause of illness, and we've already done that. We've removed our toxic fillings and dental materials. In this case, health, though, is about adding something in, and that something I think should be nephrite. I think nephrite can really give us our health back, and a lot of people's health back. So my call to action, if you're looking for action steps, first of all, look in your own mouth. Have you been affected by this? What have dentists done to you in the past that are still affecting you? Are you aware of everything that they've done, or do you need help to discover that? And is this something that's interesting to you? You know, ask yourself this question: would you prefer to have a non-toxic gemstone in your teeth that's gonna last forever, or petrochemicals and toxic metals? So if you're at all skeptical, you know, do your own research too. There's a lot of information out there online about this stuff, and you can prove it to yourself that what I'm saying is true. Please connect. Please reach out through this YouTube channel. And comment. And I believe my email should be accessible through this channel's page. Please suggest alternatives or modifications to this idea that come to mind for you. If it sparked any insights, or you think you have an idea that could improve upon what I'm suggesting, then I'm open to hearing it. This isn't something I'm dogmatic or dead set on. It's something that's continuously evolving, and I'm open to that feedback, as long as it's constructive feedback, you know? So even if you just have words of encouragement, that's really appreciated. I would like to do some group calls in the future, once I've started to form a team of interested people, and potentially recording and posting those calls too could be helpful. So I think that's it for this video. I will get into more specifics on on certain aspects of this in future videos. I'm going to keep talking about this and keep posting so that I can raise more awareness about this, so I can connect with more people. Please help me to connect with more people by liking and subscribing and commenting and sharing this video with your friends, anyone who you think might need to hear this information or would benefit from it. So thanks for tuning in, and please watch my other videos in the future and stay tuned for more. Thank you for your time.